Hi everyone, welcome to Storytime with Fairfield County Library. My name is Miss Nina and I am so excited for Storytime today. Before we get started, I want to remind you that we are doing hybrid Storytimes, which means on top of our Storytimes online here, we are also doing them in person at the library. The in-person version of these Storytimes for the children's age group are at 4 p.m. on Wednesdays. Okay, now that that's out of the way, are you guys ready for Storytime? Awesome! This week our theme is colors. That means this week we're going to read some books that are all about the different colors in and outside the rainbow. All right, our first book is one of my favorites. It's called A Bad Case of Stripes by David Shannon, published by Blue Sky Press. Camilla Cream loved lima beans, but she never ate them. All of her friends hated lima beans, and she wanted to fit in. Camilla has always worried about what other people thought of her. Today, she was fretting even more than usual. It was the first day of school, and she couldn't decide what to wear. There were so many people to impress. She tried on 42 outfits, but none seemed quite right. She put on a pretty red dress and looked in the mirror. Then she screamed. Her mother ran into the room, and she screamed too. "Oh my heavens!" she cried. "You're completely covered with stripes." This was certainly true. Camilla was striped from head to toe. She looked like a rainbow. Mrs. Cream felt Camilla's forehead. "Do you feel all right?" she asked. "I feel fine," Camilla answered. "But just look at me." "You get in bed this instant," her mother ordered. "You're not going to school today." Camilla was relieved. She didn't want to miss the first day of school, but she was afraid of what the other kids would say. She had no idea what to wear with these crazy stripes. That afternoon, Dr. Bumble came to examine Camilla. "Most extraordinary," he exclaimed. "I've never seen anything like it. Are you having any coughing, sneezing, runny nose, aches, pains, chills, hot flashes, dizziness, drowsiness, shortness of breath, or uncontrollable twitching?" "No," Camilla told him. "I feel fine." "Well then," Dr. Bumble said, turning to Mrs. Cream, "I don't see any reason why she shouldn't go to school tomorrow. Here's some ointment that should help clear up those stripes in a few days. If it doesn't, you know where to reach me." And off he went. The next day was a disaster. Everyone at school laughed at Camilla. They called her Camilla Crayon and Night of the Living Lollipop. She tried her best to act as if everything were normal, but when the class said the Pledge of Allegiance, her stripes turned red, white, and blue, and she broke out in stars. The other kids thought this was great. One yelled out, "Let's see some purple polka dots." Sure enough, Camilla turned all purple polka dotty. Someone else shouted, "Checkerboard!" and a pattern of squares covered her skin. Soon, everyone was calling out different shapes and colors, and poor Camilla was changing faster than you can change channels on a TV. That night, Mr. Harms, the school principal, called. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Cream," he said. "I'm going to have to ask you to keep Camilla home from school. She's just too much of a distraction, and I've been getting calls from the other parents. They're afraid those stripes may be contagious." Camilla was so embarrassed. She couldn't believe that 2 days ago everyone liked her. Now, nobody wanted to be in the same room with her. Her father tried to make her feel better. "Is there anything I can get you, sweetheart?" he asked. "No, thank you," sighed Camilla. What she really wanted was a nice plate of lima beans, but she had been laughed at enough for one day. Well, yes, I see, Dr. Bumble mumbled when Mr. Cream phoned the next day. I think I'd better bring in the specialists. We'll be right over. About an hour later, Dr. Bumble arrived with 4 people in long white coats. He introduced them to the Creams. This is Dr. Grok, Dr. Sponge, Dr. Cricket, and Dr. Young. Then the specialists went to work on Camilla. They squeezed and jabbed, tapped and tested. It was very uncomfortable. Well, it's not the mumps, concluded Dr. Grok. Or the measles, said Dr. Sponge. Definitely not chickenpox, put in Dr. Cricket. Or sunburn, said Dr. Young. Try these, said the specialist. They each handed her a bottle filled with different colored pills. Take one of each before bed, said Dr. Grok. Then they filed out of the front door, followed by Dr. Bumble. That night, Camilla took her medicine. It was awful. When she woke up the next morning, she did feel different, but when she got dressed, her clothes didn't fit right. She looked in the mirror, and there, staring back at her, was a giant multicolored pill with her face on it. Dr. Bumble rushed over as soon as Mrs. Cream called. But this time, instead of the specialists, he brought the experts. Dr. Gord and Mr. Mellon were the finest scientific minds in the land. Once again, Camilla was poked and prodded, looked at and listened to. The experts wrote down lots of numbers. Then they huddled together and whispered. Dr. Gord finally spoke. It might be a virus, he announced with authority. Suddenly, fuzzy little virus balls appeared all over Camilla. Or possibly some form of bacteria, said Mr. Mellon. Out popped squiggly little bacteria tails. Or it could be a fungus, added Dr. Gord. Instantly, Camilla was covered with different colored fungus splotches. The experts looked at Camilla, then at each other. We need to go over these numbers again back at the lab, Dr. Gord explained. We'll call you when we know something. But the experts didn't have a clue, much less a cure. By now, the TV news had found out about Camilla. Reporters from every channel were outside her house telling the story of the bizarre case of the incredible changing kid. Soon, a huge crowd was camped out on the front lawn. The Creams were swamped with all kinds of remedies from psychologists, allergists, herbalists, nutritionists, psychics, an old medicine man, a guru, and even a veterinarian. Each so-called cure only added to poor Camilla's strange appearance until it was hard to even recognize her. She sprouted roots and berries and crystals and feathers and a long furry tail. But nothing worked. One day, a woman who called herself an environmental therapist claimed she could cure Camilla. Close your eyes, she said. Breathe deeply and become one with your room. I wish you hadn't said that, Camilla groaned. Slowly, she started to melt into the walls of her room. Her bed became her mouth. Her nose was a dresser, and 2 paintings were her eyes. The therapist screamed and ran from the house. What are we going to do? Cried Mrs. Cream. It just keeps getting worse and worse. She began to sob. At that moment, Mr. Cream heard a quiet little knock at the front door. He opened it, and there stood an old woman who's just as plump as sweet as a strawberry. Excuse me, she said brightly, but I think I can help. She went into Camilla's room and looked around. My goodness, she said with a shake of her head. What we have here is a bad case of stripes. One of the worst I've ever seen. She pulled a container of small green beans from her bag. Here, she said, these might do the trick. Are those magic beans? Asked Mrs. Cream. Oh my, no, replied the kind old woman. There's no such thing. These are just plain old lima beans. I bet you'd like some, wouldn't you? She asked Camilla. Camilla wanted a big, heaping plate full of lima beans more than just about anything, but she was still afraid to admit it. Yuck, she said. No one likes lima beans, especially me. Oh dear, the old woman said sadly. I guess I was wrong about you. She put the beans back in her bag and started toward the door. Camilla watched the old woman walk away. Those beans would taste so good, and being laughed at for eating them was nothing compared to what she'd been going through. She finally couldn't stand it. Wait, she cried. The truth is, I really love lima beans. I thought so, the old woman said with a smile. She took a handful of beans and popped them into Camilla's mouth. Said Camilla. Suddenly, the branches' feathers and squiggly tails began to disappear. Then the whole room swirled around. When it stopped, there stood Camilla, and everything was back to normal. I'm cured, she shouted. Yes, said the old woman. I knew the real you was in there somewhere. She patted Camilla on the head. Then she went outside and vanished into the crowd. Afterward, Camilla wasn't quite the same. Some of the kids at school said she was weird, but she didn't care a bit. She ate all the lima beans she wanted, and she never had even a touch of the stripes again. Alright, that was A Bad Case of Stripes. What'd you guys think? Alright, our next book is This Book is Gray. Written and illustrated by Lindsay Ward, and published by Two Lions. Hey, there's no gray in the rainbow, but I just want to help. Well, like, this book is colorful. Sorry, dude. Maybe next time? They never let me color. Just one tiny bit of gray does have so much to ask. I'll show them. This book is gray. I'm going to make the grayest book ever. Once upon a time, a wolf, a kitten, and a hippo lived in a small house by the sea. Someone described the house as bleak, dismal, or gloomy. But it wasn't. It was lovely, and gray, and perfect. Hey, Gray, what you doing? I'm telling a story. That looks dismal, bleak, and gloomy. Yeah, it's kind of depressing. It's just a little overcast. Perfect weather, if you ask me. Dude, where's all the color? Well, this book is gray, and gray is a color. But you can't illustrate a good story without the primary colors. Yeah, the three of us are like really important. Everyone loves us. The wolf, the kitten, and the hippo. Is the wolf going to eat the kitten? Because I feel like that's where this is going. Of course not. Just because this book is gray doesn't mean it's scary or sad. So, like, what are these animals going to eat if they don't have a proper sun? It clearly won't be organic. I'm guessing the kitten. Do you mind? I'm trying to tell my story here. Hey, what's everyone arguing about? Hey, secondaries, we're discussing Gray's monochromatic disaster. It's about, like, a totally cute kitten that gets eaten by a wolf. Okay, but what's with the hippo? Yeah, dude, we're not sure how he fits in either. Ooh, a kitten! Is anyone listening to me? I said no primaries and no secondaries. This book is gray. What muted is Hugh? Can I please get back to my story? One day, the wolf decided to host a brunch. Dude, a brunch, really? That's so last year. I knew that kitten was a goner. Yep, totally saw that coming. Oh, for Pete's sake, the kitten isn't going to get eaten. Who's Pete? I think Pete's the hippo. Personally, I think this book could really use a splash of orange. Orange is a totally rad color. Thanks, Blue. So are you. I know you can't help it, but please stop complimenting each other. It's distracting. I'm about to get to the... Hey guys, what's going on? Gray decided to make his own book, but out of the blue. Yeah, we're totally blacklisted. No primaries, no secondaries, no color at all. Just because I'm not primary or secondary doesn't mean I'm not a color. Achromatics have feelings too, you know. Well, Wyatt and I are achromatic just like you, so can we be in your book? Sorry guys, this book is gray, and maybe... Wait, what are you doing? The wolf was just about to pull the scones out of the oven when... White out! No, this book is gray, like me. Why is it so hard to understand? You guys get to be in everything. I'm let out all the time. I don't even get to be in the rainbow. I just wanted to show you that I can do gray is a cool color too, you know? I just get tired of being the one no one wants to color with. Everyone thinks I'm dull, but I can be bold. I can be interesting too. Sorry, Gray, I got a little carried away there. Yeah, man, we're sorry. Sometimes we can be a little off color. How am I going to get rid of all this snow? This book's supposed to be gray, but now it's ruined. No worries, Gray. We can, totally help you fix this. That is, if you want us to. Even though the wolf's scones burned due to an unexpected weather delay, all the guests had a lovely time together in the garden. It was a great party. Ta-da! Isn't it, totally awesome? And look, we got brown and pink to help us. Dude, gray is such a cool color. I don't even know how we never noticed before. Look at all these gray animals. Wow, this book is gray and colorful. I love it. So what do you want to do now? Color? Totally. Me too? Yeah, dude, come on. Hello? Gray? You forgot to end the story. Me too. Sorry, guys. I was calling with my friends. I'm almost done. Turns out the kitten could whip up a mean brunch. Oh, and they lived grayly ever after. The end. So, what do you guys think? Awesome story, Gray. Easily like my new favorite. Let's read it again. And that was This Book is Gray. What'd you guys think? Do you like the color gray? Alright everyone, thank you for coming to Storytime. Now, just because we're done reading does not mean we have to be done with Storytime. If you come down to the library this week, you can pick up a Storytime kit, which are these fun-filled activity kits that we made to go with the books you read today. Each kit comes with a coloring sheet, a craft, and a tasty recipe that you can make with your grown-ups. This week, our craft is this colorful mobile with all sorts of shapes. To get a kit, you need to come to the Fairfield County Library and look for some crates in the children's section. Now we have 2 crates, one for Monday story times and one for Wednesdays, so you want to make sure to grab the right kits or you can end up with something completely different. The kits for this story time are in the children's crate. They are the blue ones. We have new kits every week, so make sure to check back in every time we do a new story time. Okay, everybody, thank you for joining me for story time. Once again, my name is Miss Nina, and I hope to see you in the library this week to pick up a storytime kit. It's time to say goodbye, but I look forward to seeing you all next time. Bye!